Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, welcome to our presentation. So today's topic is about cultural adjustment in England, presented by me Putri Novitasari and my partner Kaufan Andini. So first of all, we're going to talk about the cultural adjustment. What is cultural adjustment? The theory of cultural adjustment refers to the process and time it takes for a person to assimilate an adaptation to a new culture. Cross-cultural adjustment means processing unfamiliar stimuli and challenge problem-solving skills for newcomers. It includes the mental fatigue of culture shock, the lack and uncertainty to find people which are appropriate sources for help, and the inability to predict reaction of potential provider. There are several stages of cultural adjustment experiencing by people. So the first stage is everything is new, exciting, and different. In stage 1, many experiences and local tradition are fresh and captivated for you to learn. In this stage, you also begin to screen and compare the culture of certain country with your native. In this stage 2, frustration and annoyance with everyday differences begin to happen. Cultural norms begin intruding with your everyday life. Homesickness began here, and you also underwent an annoyance with locals' way of life and isolation. You also begin to seek friends from similar culture and condition. And the next stage is surface adjustment. You begin to understanding and accepting local culture and tradition in this stage. Also, you more open yourself by developing friendship with local people. And the next stage is confronting deeper culture or personal issues. You begin to embracing new cultures abroad by deeper investigate about the clashing culture that causes your anxiety issues. Retaining one's home identity can ease the tension of your cultural adjustment. And the last stage is adaptation and assimilation. In this stage, reconciliation between you and your culture by appreciating its differences are more likely to happen. In this stage, you renew the interest in local culture and environment, which make you has an optimistic attitude. And the next discussion is about England. So what is England and where is England? The name England is derived from the Old English name Englaland, which means land of the angels. The angels were one of the Germanic tribes that settled in the Great Britain during the early Middle Age. England covers 50,357 square miles of the main island of the British Isles and lies off the northwestern coast of Europe. The Gulf Stream makes the climate mild and rainy. The country is also divided into a highland zone and a lowland zone. The population was 49.5 million in 1998. The estimated non-white proportion of the population for the year was 7.3%, with the officially designated ethnic group being the Black Caribbean, Black African, Black Other, Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and Chinese. And the next discussion is about England's culture. Historically, England was a very homogeneous country and developed coherent tradition. But as the British Empire expanded and the country absorbed many people throughout the globe, the cultures is also began to expand. English cultures has been accented with diverse contributions from Afro-Caribbean, Asians, Muslims, and other immigrant groups. The most prominent immigrant group has been the Irish, who came in two major waves in the modern era, that is in 1847 and 1848. after the potato famine and during and after World War II. And the next is England's architecture. English architecture has varied significantly by location. It's all based to the readiness available building materials in that location. For example, the typical Cotswold village consists of structures of the local silvery limestone with slate roof. A honey-colored stone was much used in Oxford, and a rusty ironstone is typical in northern Oxfordshire and Northamptonshire. Half-timber framing and thatch roofing are the characteristics of the river valleys, and excellent clay provides the warm red brick of southern England. And the next discussion is about religion. In the 2011 census, 59.4% of the population in England specified their religion as Christian, while 24.7% answered that they had no religion. 5% specified that they were Muslim, while 3.7% of the population belongs to other religion, and 7.2% did not give an answer. A small minority of group practice in England still use ancient pagan religion as their belief. According to the 2011 UK census, there are roughly 53,172 people who identify as a pagan. So pagan is a term first used pejoratively in the 4th century by early Christians for people in the Roman Empire who practiced polytheism or believe in deities. And the next is social custom and social stratification. English daily life and custom were markedly different in urban and rural areas. Indeed, much of English literature and popular culture has explored the tension between town and country and between farm and factory. The rigid class system that long made it difficult for non-aristocratic individuals to rise to positions of prominence in commerce, government, and education. But nowadays, many of the traditional symbols of social differences have undergone change. Clothes and other consumer goods historically were the indicator of class and stratification, but now they are more universal and equally between the higher society and lower society.
The next is about social norm. Social norm in British divided to 5. The first is time. British people swear by good timekeeping, and being late is frowned upon or even considered rude by many. Of course, there are times in life when arriving late is completely out of your hands, but it's important to be punctual the majority of the time. 2. Manners. Politeness is a must. Please and thank you are probably some of the most common phrases in the UK, and it's important to use them when appropriate. Third, welcome drink. A cup of tea is a quintessential symbol of British culture. You will probably be offered tea in most places you visit in the UK. 4. Greetings. The most common form of greeting in UK is a handshake. This is used when meeting someone for the first time in a formal occasion. Usually, you will shake the other person's right hand with your right hand. Hugging and kissing on the cheek is usually reserved for greeting close friends or relatives. Hello or hi are common verbal greetings, and you will also likely to hear alright. This also means hello and it's not a question. The last is tipping. In the UK, tipping is common and is the norm when it comes to eating in restaurants. Although you are under no obligation to do so, adding a few extra pounds to the bills is standard practice. The next is food. English cuisine has traditionally been based on beef, lamb, pork, chicken, and fish. all cooked with medium of embellishment and generally served with potatoes and other vegetables, or in case of fish, deep fried in batter and served with deep fried potato slices. Food-related taboos. People avoid some food for so-called hygienic reasons, such as onion or leeks, which can cause bad breath. There are also food that considered uncivilized. The next is food customs and ceremonial occasion. Apart from cakes on his birthday, few special occasions are eaten by major secular ceremonies, although such ceremonies involve tasting and drinking alcohol. In religious ceremonies, alcohol, usually wine, is common and most celebrations of the Eucharist in Christian churches and also is used at Jewish ceremonies. The next is about famous traditions in England. The first is Guy Fawkes Night. Guy Fawkes Night is celebrated in the 5th of November each year. Guy Fawkes was mastermind of the Gunpowder Plot in 1605, which failed when he attempted to destroy the House of Parliament. This night tradition celebrated famously in Sussex, and Lewis commemorates this by having firework displays, bonfires, torchlight procession, and pagan rituals. The second is daylight saving time. It is a tradition observed by England. Clocks are moved back an hour and take place 1 week ahead of daylight saving time in America. The third is Soft Thursday or Pancake Day. England is known for Soft Thursday. Soft Thursday takes place before the start of Lent and it's celebrated by Christians across the country by making pancakes. Pancakes are similar to crepes in England, accompanied by garden syrup, sugar, or lemon. The fourth is Boxing Day. Boxing Day is the day after Christmas and almost like an extension of the main holiday. People spend time with their families and loved ones, as many are tired or off from work. Typical traditions include watching sports, playing games, hunting, going for walks, and eating Christmas leftovers. People also love to shop on Boxing Day. The last is Poppy Day or Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day homage to the men and women who died during World War I and World War II. It is a commemoration held in November with people wearing red puppies. The next is Christmas. Christmas celebrated on 25 December is a big holiday for British people. The season is lovely and since Thanksgiving is not an occasion for celebration in England, Christmas comes early in for British people. The next and the last is New Year's Eve. The largest celebration of fireworks explodes at the midnight over London Eye. Big Ben chimes and ring in the New Year and British people sing Auld Lang Syne. Crowds gather at Trafalgar Square or Piccadilly Circus. The next part is about adjusting life in England. There are several ways to make us easier to adapt or adjust our life if we want to live in England for some reason. It is because England is a great place to live as well as study. It is a vibrant, fun multicultural country with beautiful scenery, historic sites, and some of the best museums, art galleries, and cinemas in the world exist in England. And here, we will present to you some tips to make our life easier if you want to move or live in England. The first is enhance your language skill. Second is make friends. The third is maintain social interaction. And fourth, prepare for unfamiliar behavior and fashion trend. If English isn't your first language, you may get a little lost in translation from the time to time. Thankfully, by surrounding yourself with native speakers, you can easily improve your English language skills and even pick up some colloquial phrases. Through making friends, there are a lot of benefit from it. Studying abroad and making friends is certainly one of those reasons. Although British are friendly and helpful in general, they often keep themselves to themselves when they are on their own in public. For example, if you get a bus, you are likely to see people sitting alone and quietly listen to music rather than chatting to strangers and making friends. That's why it needs your bravery to making friends with someone in England if you want to adjust your life easier there. Since it is Britain, it is not uncommon if you see people kiss their partner or hug their friends in public. This may come as a surprise if you are from a part of the world where this type of behavior is not acceptable. So that's why you have to prepare for unfamiliar behavior and fashion trends. That basically, England is a liberal country that allows all of their citizens to express what they want to wear, what they want to have, what they want to have freely without any exception. The next part is about Islam's perspective toward cultural adjustment. Islam also encourages its followers to explore the earth. The word of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala taken from Quran Surah Ar-Rum verses 9 depict the notion that Islam recommends followers to explore the world, seeing for themselves the various socio-cultures and taking lesson or wisdom from the journey. Communicating different socio-culture, people will allow Muslims to da'wah while they travel about their day through their both deeds and speeches. However, throughout culture which don't agree with those of Islamic value, Muslims should be tolerant, unaffected, and even if able are to become an agent of da'wah of Islamic culture. The next is about adjusting in culture as a Muslim. As a Muslim who want to live or move in a country which is Muslim or Islam is a minority, we have to face a lot of difficulties and challenges. But here, we have some tips or ways to make our life easier in adjust to a culture which is Muslim is not a majority community. The first is have strong character of tolerance, but not to neglect self-value. The second, strengthen belief or akidah as well as worship and manner or akhlak. The third, practicing Islamic teachings and rituals. And four, finding oneself. As if we live in England, we have been introduced to large culture diversity, from Eastern to Western, from American to European, from Islamic to Orientalist. We have learned a lot of others' lifestyle, behavior, attitude, ethnic, and values. Thus, we have to have a strong character and must be rely on our self-value as a Muslim, and we are not allowed to lose our identity as a Muslim. And always maintain the faith to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and stay composed all the time. Being Muslim far away from home country isn't an excuse to make a person or to make us far away from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So we have to keep practicing our Islamic teaching and rituals. Especially, we have 5 pillars of Islam, which is praying. The last is tips to adjust in the new culture. 1. Don't be afraid to get out of comfort zone and try new things. 2. Resist urge to withdraw. Remember your goals. 3. Find activities to relieve stress. And 4. Keep in touch with friends and family. Have familiar things around you that have personal meaning, such as photographs or ornaments. Have friends who are also foreigner, as they will understand what you are feeling, and if possible, have friends among the local, so you can learn more about each other culture. That's all our presentation about cultural adjustment in England. If you have any question, please drop in the Google Classroom comment section. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.